but this time you get them between nights, instead of from game overs. And in these you have to roam around the pizzeria from FNAF 2 until being torn apart by Purple Guy. But the focus here is on the hints, which you then have to use during the following nights. Now some of these are fairly straightforward, such as clicking all the cupcakes, pressing arcade buttons, but some are completely asinine, like pressing a number combination on the tiles on the wall. These take you to a variety of new minigames, and within these games you'll have to purposefully glitch them to unlock hidden parts of the hidden minigames. I have no idea how anyone had the patience to fiddle around with these in order to find that out, but it must be done, as this gets you the good ending to the game. That's right, we got good and bad endings now, bloody perfect. So what does this ominous tale end with? Okay, so at this point in the story, Fredbear's Family Diner was a small establishment where outside a child is murdered from a mysterious purple guy. Later, Fazbear Entertainment is formed, and a new establishment is founded where the animatronics feature a special spring lock ability that allows them to act as a hybrid. See, there it is. Which allows a user to jump inside the suit and control it, although these suits have one fatal flaw. More on that later. But this is also where the purple guy would disguise himself in a Fazbear-themed suit and lure children out to murder them. 5 to be exact. And the puppet then saves the dead children's souls by stuffing them in the suits of the current iterations of Bonnie, Chica, Foxy, and Freddy, who are now starting to ooze blood and mucus, causing the place to be shut down. A new restaurant is then opened, with brand new animatronics. But then an event now known as the Bite of 87 happened, which resulted in someone's frontal lobe being bitten off, which has now gotten the new establishment shut down, where it's then briefly rebranded with fixed up versions of the animatronics from 2 locations ago. But I presume the stigma of having your chain being associated with a bunch of child murders probably isn't that good for business, and it was finally shut down. And this is when the purple guy makes his grand return to finally dismantle the robots out of fear of them hunting him, I guess. And the souls of the children escape to kill him. Then he finds the old Golden Bonnie hybrid and hides in it, but because of the flaw I mentioned, the spring locks start to lock when the suit has gotten too damp, and they crush Purple Guy's bones, killing him. Until 30 years later, a horror attraction based on the events is now opened, where they've included the old Spring Bonnie suit now known as Springtrap as part of the attraction. Purple Guy's still inside, and on the last night the building finally burns down due to faulty wiring, where things are finally put to rest. And thus puts a semi-neat little bow on the series. Scratch that, this is not neat in the slightest. Like, 1 location we don't see in the games I would accept, but 2, and one of them also featured the same robots as FNAF 1, making this a whole other level of confusing, but you know what? At least it's all over, and as MatPat promised, all the questions are answered. Wait, why are there like 50 more videos in this play? Oh no. So yeah, originally Scott wanted to end the series as a trilogy. He did everything he wanted to do and was finally going to set out on a new adventure. But there was just one road bump in his plan. Yes, it appears that Scott was displeased with the jump scare in Five Nights at Freddy's 3. And I can very much see where he's coming from. Yeah, sorry, I mean. Oh, no. In the others, it either features the characters lunging towards you or manically shaking you, but here it's just, hey, I'm going to McDonald's, you want anything? And so FNAF 4 was put into development, which Scott set out to make the scariest FNAF game yet. Dude, what the hell are you doing? Can you see I'm working on a video? Yeah, that's what I thought. While a lot of people had dropped off the FNAF train at this point, myself included, I still kept an eye on the development of Five Nights at Freddy's 4. And it seems Scott is taking his time with it, coming out on Halloween night, and then it released 4 months earlier. FNAF 4. The perfect summer's game. The teasers for this game had a lot of people hyped. The animatronics seemed to be more detailed than ever, almost as if they were coming out of a nightmare. I think we're in for our scariest adventure yet, and it's dubbing itself the final chapter, so I bet he's gonna go all out on this one. Then the game came out and people got really mad at PewDiePie for not being scared by it.
Oh shit. What did I do wrong?
I honestly miss when this was the most controversial thing he found himself in. In this game, you take control of this young boy What's-His-Face. At night, he's found himself at the bottom of his bed, avidly keeping a check on his for some reason 2 doors into 2 hallways, and his closet. Why is that? Well, it seems that the animatronics have followed him home and are out to get him. Followed him home is in quotes, by the way. I know they don't literally do that, Mr. Commenter. Yeah, I know what you're about to do. Now, FNAF 1's focus was on power management, FNAF 2 was on time management, and FNAF 3 was about playing the offensive. So to differentiate itself, FNAF 4's gimmick is all about sound, and how well you can keep quiet and pay attention, which in retrospect probably isn't the best idea meant for a series where 99% of the advertising comes from overactive screaming Let's Players. So for the first time in the series, you can now run to each of the 3 spots and open the doors, and flash your light to see what's outside. But by God, if you hear even the slightest sound, then you need to immediately act on it. If you hear them in the halls, you shine your light on them, and if you hear them right up next to you, then shut that door. While not good for YouTube, I think this idea does wonders of building up the atmosphere of feeling alone at night and just taking in every subtle sound you hear. It also basically forces you to wear headphones and crank that baby up, so whenever you get jump scared, you really feel it.
Mom, right?
That scared me.
The layout is basically a copy of FNAF 1, where Bonnie will come from your left and Chica will come from your right. Similarly for Foxy, you have to keep checking on him or else he'll come out and attack you. But for Freddy, you have to keep a watch behind you, for these 3 little Freddles sitting on your bed, as all 3 together summon Nightmare Freddy to attack. In between levels, you play a minigame, this time titled Fun with Plush Trap, where you have to listen out for the movements of a plush spring trap sitting across the hallway, and try to shine your light on him when he lands on the X, as succeeding will allow you to start the next night at 2 AM, which in these games are a massive advantage. Now mastering this is all fine and well until night 5, where all that is thrown out the window, with the sole attacker being Nightmare Fredbear. I think this was a really clever way of evolving the formula, while also giving the game more of a scare factor, which seems to have worked with many claiming it's the scariest game in the series. Although I don't know, something about the jump scares just doesn't sit right with me. Maybe it's how slow they are. In the first it felt like you were being jolted back and forth, but now it just looks like they're yelling in your face. He also released a Halloween update for the game, I suppose to make up for the release being... well, what is the opposite of delayed? And all this isn't to mention the Nightmare Night, which features all 4 robots and a new one called Nightmare. And after beating this, you're presented with a dark room, 1 light shining down, revealing a small locked box. I think we should talk about the plot. So this story is told through the eyes of a child, as his plush friend Fredbear gives him tips and warns him of his brother, who throughout every night progressively reveals just how low he can go, as it goes from simple scars and a Foxy mask, to once and for all grabbing him at a birthday party and shoving his head inside the mouth of Fredbear, to where it decides to chomp down and take a bite. Well, that was simple actually. A straightforward story, and we finally get to know who committed the bite of 87? Scott must be feeling generous today. Or was he? Because telling a cohesive story